with my homeboy Jeff Lightsy Jr. And today we're talking about Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant's wife, Vanessa. Kobe and his family went through a horrible tragedy. You all know that. You know that his wife, Vanessa, that they lost their daughter, and she also lost her husband in this terrible helicopter crash. Well, the crazy thing is that sometimes when it rains, it pours. And just recently it was revealed that Vanessa Bryant, Kobe Bryant's wife, is being sued by her own mother. Vanessa Bryant's mother is suing her for all kinds of crazy stuff, lots of money and all kinds of ridiculous stuff. And we're going to talk about that today. Jeff was on the job today at the blackbosschannel.com. What's going on today, Jeff?
How's it going, Dr. Boyce? Pretty good.
Good. All right, man. So let's before we jump into the conversation, I want to greet everybody. On this platform, we are Black First. That is very important. We put the Black community ahead of all of the communities. Also, we elevate the conversation. So all the intelligent Black people, throw your hands up, put hashtag B1 in the chat if you are Black and intelligent, and also if you believe in that the Black community should come first. So put your hashtag B1 in the chat. So let's talk about Kobe Bryant and Vanessa. So Jeff, on the blackbosschannel.com, you were kind of talking about this. What's going on with Kobe's family?
So for those who don't know, Kobe Bryant, as you said, tragically passed away in January, and his wife, Vanessa Bryant, just took all of his businesses, took all of his assets, is now responsible for all of those things, finances and everything. And under her was her mother, and her mother, they provided everything financially for her mother. Her name is Sophia Lane, is what I want to say. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but it's spelled Sophia Lane. And what Sophia is coming out saying is that her daughter has now cut her off, and she is now suing Vanessa for $5 million. And so what that lawsuit is stemming from is she's saying that she needs to be paid back pay of 12 hours a day for babysitting and assistantship for the last 12 years, back pay $96 an hour for the last 18 years. That is what the lawsuit entails. And it's pretty ridiculous because throughout the course of their marriage, Kobe and Vanessa, well, I guess Kobe, because Vanessa has never worked, has provided for Vanessa's mom financially, paid for her house, I guess gave her an allowance or something. She's never wanted for anything. And as we know, Kobe, as we learned when he died, his assets were worth up to $2 billion. So obviously money was never an issue, especially during his playing career and even post-playing career. So she is now saying that, her daughter has cut her off financially, but for whatever reason, all of this mess and all of this drama seems to unfold because what the mother is claiming is that Kobe promised her that she would take care of her, that he would take care of her until she died. Well, obviously, unfortunately, Kobe passed before the mother, and now she's claiming that her daughter's cutting her off, but the daughter is saying that no, that was never the case. But yeah, she is suing her own daughter for $5 million.
So, I want to ask everybody in here, give me a yes or no, just on the surface, based on what you're hearing from this. Whose side are you on? Are you on the wife or the mother's side? Whose side would you be more inclined to support based on what you know about this unfortunate thing that's happening in Kobe's family? I imagine Kobe's rolling over in his grave. I mean, that's got to be a terrible thing to have to watch from heaven. You left plenty of money, made sure everybody was taken care of, or so you thought, and then you see people fighting. Whose side? Okay, I see wife. Let's see. Steven says mother. Knocking him loose says wife. Andre says ma. Okay, Tanya says wife. Let's see. Miss Eminent says her mom is trash. That's real deep. That's real interesting. It's like right down the middle almost.
Yeah.
Where, some people are siding with the mother. Some people side with the wife. Well, I'll tell you what, this is crazy because, when I hear this, what I think about is it makes me think about what money does to people.
Yes.
And also how death can divide a family. I knew somebody who's where the mother kind of held everybody together. And the mother died. And when the mother died, the daughter, the family was fighting so much that the daughter and the father stopped speaking. So the daughter goes through life traumatized because she lost her mother and her father at the same time. Like the stretch of death can just be terrible. So what do you think, Jeff? I mean, is there any indicator in terms of what Vanessa's saying about what they've done for her? I cannot imagine that they haven't done anything for her.
Yes.
So what have they done for her up until this point?
So what we do know, what I do is I take the facts, right? And then we take I don't want to speculate, but you can kind of put two and two together. So we know that Vanessa hasn't worked throughout her relationship with Kobe. She hasn't had a job. So there's no need for a nanny. She's taking care of the kids, on her own or with the assistance of her husband, obviously. But he played basketball for 20 years, but he was there when he's been there the last 4 years being retired. So her saying that she's been the caretaker of Vanessa and Kobe's kids, that isn't true. Like we know that isn't true. We also know that they have taken care of her mother financially. All of that is in the pudding. Like, once again, Vanessa doesn't work. The mom doesn't work. Ain't no way you got these nice houses, nice cars. Like, that is documented. And we know that the mother has been in their life, unlike Kobe's family. Now, Kobe's family is different. He's estranged from his family. But Vanessa and her mother have been tight-knit up until the death of Kobe, it seems like, right? So, like, we've seen her at games, courtside, and all these things. So we know all of that. So we have to take all of that into consideration. So what we have now, I guess, up to us, and what is eventually going to come out, is like, what caused this, right? Like we know these two have been tight knit for the duration of their relationship together, their mother-daughter relationship. But up until now, which is December of 2020, and really it started in like September is when we started seeing some rumblings. There's some kind of disconnect, and so the only common denominator is the death of Kobe, and that's kind of what both the Vanessa and the mom have both come out and said. So what I was looking into is the fact that Vanessa had to do something. I don't know if she completely cut her mother off, but she definitely did something that pissed her mother off, right? Like you're not just going up and come out and sue your daughter for $5 million if she didn't piss you off doing something. So Vanessa did something that the mom either didn't expect or didn't think was going to happen, right? Like they kind of caught her off guard or whatever it was. But we do know that she still provides for her mom. Like she still gives her a place to stay in a gated community apartment in LA somewhere, which is probably very expensive. She still has her a really nice car, and she still doesn't want for anything. So all of that is true. But something along the line was not the straight and narrow that the mom was not a part of what the mom thought she was signing up for. At least it wasn't what was taking place when Kobe was around. And so now, since Kobe's been gone, something in that line of between mother and daughter changed, and that is the big question.
Everybody, I'm speaking with Jeff Lightsy Jr. from the Black Boss channel and Ball Sports. Jeff Lightsy Jr., he talks a lot about sports and all the stories that surround sports. And so make sure you subscribe to the blackbosschannel.com, the blackbosschannel.com. Also, hit the thumbs up button wherever you are. Hit the thumbs up button, share, subscribe, notification bell. We're building Black media, and we can really use your help. Thanks to those of you who joined us for Black Movie Night. It was awesome. Thousands of you showed up, and we had a great time. So feel free to go to blackmovienight.net if you want to join for the next Black Movie Night, which will be on December 26th. So let me just kind of jump in here. So what I'm hearing, man, is when I hear about Kobe and his family, what's going on with his wife and his wife's mother. First thing I'll say is that when I first heard it, I thought that it was Kobe's mother who was suing the family, because I heard about this whole estrangement that Kobe had with his own parents. And did that ever get resolved, or did Kobe literally like die, like with his parents completely cut off? Like, how did that turn out?
So as far as I know, I mean, he died on bad terms. So what happened with Kobe and his parents were that they had a lot of his old paraphernalia from like when he was in high school in his early years with the Lakers, and they were selling that off, right, to make a profit because they were angry at him or whatever. I mean, he had an estranged relationship with his parents dating back to his early years with the Lakers. He was in the finals against the Sixers in 2000 or 2001 against the Philadelphia 76ers in Philadelphia, where his parents live, and they didn't come to the game. Like, so like it's been over the last 20 years that they had like this bickering, but they had rekindled from there. And then they were selling his gear, and he wasn't happy about that. And so once that took place, it kind of was like, all right, man, like, I'm pretty much done with you. You go do your thing. I'm gonna do my thing, and it is what it is. And from what I last checked, that's kind of how he died, and that's how that thing went off. But like I said, Vanessa and her mom had been tight throughout the duration of the relationship, throughout the duration of her life, up until recently.
Mm. Wow, wow. So, so just so you guys know, I'm still learning the software. I'm trying to bring Jeff back in. Uh, I'm totally messing it up. But yeah, yeah. So the thing about it is, it's funny, man. I'm hitting these buttons, and literally, I'm thinking which button's gonna put us both on screen because
Yeah, I
all right,
remember you
I'll put
saying it
myself
earlier.
on screen until I figure this out. But I think the thing, and I know Jeff, you can hear me, and I'll just bring you in eventually. But the thing about it that makes me sad, and this is why this story concerned me the most, was that I kind of it kind of really shows you the darker side of what money and success can do, for a family. That you think that because you got all this money, these great things are going to happen, and you find out that that's not the case. So while I figure out how to hit the right button, Jeff, and put us back on screen, because I'm still fucking it up.
Yeah.
Tell me more in terms of so what what makes this more than just a story that's gossiping about
Yeah.
somebody's family? Like, what is it that makes this into something that we can kind of learn from and pay attention to?
Yes, and I think it's really important because it shows, especially in black families, or what we care about as black families, of course, will be one all the way, is what happens when you remove the man from the household, right? Like what happens, and that's what's happening in a lot of the black community. We see it from the lowest levels up until people that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Kobe and his family are worth hundreds of millions of dollars. But all and everything was running smooth sailing, perfect. And they look like the ideal family. But as soon as you remove the figurehead, which was the man from the household, it's just utter chaos. Now we have literally the mom or the grandma suing the daughter. So Kobe's mother-in-law is suing her daughter. And all it took was one thing to be removed. And that is what's so important about why people say, like, oh, why is the black community like this? Or why are black people this way? And it's like, well, when you take our men away from our families, chaos erupts. It doesn't matter if you're worth a quarter or $25 million or $200 million. It doesn't matter. All it takes is one small aspect, and that is what takes place. And we literally watching it between families, a family that's worth hundreds of $1,000,000. All it took was taking one man away, or the man away from the household, and we see total dysfunction. And I think that it's amazing to really watch this play out in real life, because we talk about it a lot.
Well, everybody, I'm still learning how to use this Restream software. Apparently, I'm literally hitting all the buttons, and there's no way for me to pull me and Jeff on screen at the same time. So we're just gonna make it work. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. I'm speaking with Jeff Lightsy Jr. From the BlackBossChannel.com. We're talking about Kobe Bryant and his wife Vanessa, and the fact that Vanessa Bryant is being sued by her own mother, and which I think is just the craziest thing in the world. But things like this happen. We all have dysfunction in our family. And I think when it gets to the point where it spills over publicly, that's when I get really sad about it. And the thing, Jeff, that gets me about this story is that it makes me feel sorry for Kobe and his family, for the same reason I feel sorry for a lot of successful people. It's like we think the money is everything, and you get the money, and then next thing relatives aren't talking to each other, and crazy things that happen. And also, I feel bad. Part of me, no matter how much or how little Vanessa Bryant and Kobe did for Vanessa's mother, I feel bad for Vanessa too, in the sense that, and not so much just the mother. I mean, I have empathy for the mother, of course, because the mother raised you, right? The mother deserves to be taken care of. But I have some empathy a lot more empathy, I think, for Vanessa and the family, because you can't say that she hasn't done things for her mother. I'm sure she's done a lot of things for her mother. Yeah. And what can happen is when you start doing things for somebody, they get entitled, and you start giving $100,000 a year, and they're like, I should get $200,000 a year, and they'll literally come back and say, well, you stole $100,000 a year from me because you used to give me $200,000 a year. Now you just give me $100,000 a year. So I feel like you ripped me off. So a lot of times the people that come back the hardest on you are not the people that you never helped at all, because they never expect anything. It's about expectations. The people that you don't help at all don't expect anything from you. Sometimes it's the people you help the most that give you the most grief. Like you say, hey man, look, I know I had a buddy that created a company. He literally invested a few dollars and built this company that eventually made $20 million a year in revenue. So he wanted to do the right thing. He wanted to hook up all the homies, and he went and he hired a lot of his cousins and people that had like GEDs, and was paying them like $250,000 a year because he wanted to be super generous. And I talked to him about it, and he said, so basically the company started declining, right? And the revenue dropped from like 20 million a year to like 10 million a year. And he said the people that were the maddest at me were the people I did the most for. He said they were cussing me out. I'm going to sue you. You ain't nothing. Blah blah blah. And he said it hurt so bad because these were the people where he went out of his way to hook them up. Did not have to hire them. Could have went and hired some fancy white people. And he went back to the hood and got his family members who didn't have much education or whatever. And he said they were the ones that gave him the most stress. What are your thoughts on some of that in terms of what it must be like to be in the position of a Kobe and a Vanessa Bryant and what they're going through?
Well, it's definitely a case like that. And I also think that, I don't know this, but I definitely could see the fact that her mom seeing that Kobe's no longer there as Vanessa's easy target, right? Like, I think that structure and that whole structure in the household thing makes a lot of sense because it's like, okay, my daughter, or whatever, just roll whatever her husband said, or maybe had like this much leeway. Now she has all the leeway because her husband is longer there. Maybe I can get over on my daughter, right? Like maybe, like you said, instead of wanting 200,000 a year that my daughter was giving me, without Kobe there, maybe she should be giving me 300,000 because he's not there to tell her to cut me off a certain amount, or maybe I want 350,000 or whatever. And now she's saying like, no, you can stay with what you've been getting, whatever. The checks ain't gonna be rolling in the same as they would if Kobe was still here. And now it's just like it's out of anger, it's out of greed, but it does seem like there's a lot of greed going on in there. I was reading some of the comments on the video I put up earlier, and some people were saying, and I don't know this, but they were saying like a cultural thing, like Mexican people, because his wife is, Latino, and they were saying Latino people want they're supposed to be taking care of the parents. And I don't know how true that is, but if that plays a part in it, that might also be sort of a thing, right? Like if you're Latino and you're expected to take care of your parents, and now that's not, Kobe there to hold you back from giving your parent more, then maybe that also plays into the greed part as well.
All right, so everybody, I'm speaking with Jeff Lightsy Jr. from Ball Sports, the blackballschannel.com. And for some reason, I can't find the right button to bring me and Jeff on screen at the same time. So we're just going to bounce back and forth. I'm trying a new software this time, so I don't know which button. I'm sure it's some easy button to hit, but I don't see it on the screen. So anyway, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button, and let's elevate the conversation. I want to take this Kobe Bryant situation and take it to the next level and not make it into a gossipy discussion about somebody's family. I'd rather have it be a discussion where we can all learn something. So what I'm going to do, Jeff, is I'm going to read some of the statement from Vanessa Bryant so we can hear Kobe's wife and her point of view on some of this. We saw the lawsuit from Kobe's mother saying that she deserves $96 an hour for the last 18 years for babysitting her grandkids. And that shows me that she's pretty upset right now. And I'm going to read what Vanessa said in her statement. So Vanessa Bryant, Kobe Bryant's wife, says, quote, she was a grandmother who was supported by me and her son-in-law at my request. So she says, I requested that we support her. She now wants to back charge me $96 per hour for supposedly working 12 hours a day for 18 years for watching her grandchildren. In reality, she only occasionally babysat my older girls when they were toddlers. Earlier this year, I was looking for a new home for her, and a week later, she went on television and gave an interview disparaging our family and making false accusations while living rent-free in a gated apartment complex in Newport Coast. Even after that betrayal, I was willing to provide my mother with monthly support for the rest of her life, and that wasn't good enough. She instead contacted me through intermediaries. Contrary to what she claims, my phone number hasn't changed and demanded $5 million, a house, and a Mercedes SUV. Let's see. So she also says, Brian said that she refused, causing her mother to, quote, make false and absurd claims while demanding, quote, more money than my husband and I ever spent to provide for her while he was alive. Quote, she has no regard for how this is affecting my children and me. She wants to live off my daughters and me for the rest of her life while continuing to collect monthly alimony from her ex-husband since 2004. My husband and I have never discouraged or kept her from providing for herself. This lawsuit is frivolous, disgraceful, and unimaginably hurtful. My husband never promised my mother anything, and he would be so disappointed in her behavior and lack of empathy. So this is pretty painful. This sounds like you got some hurt feelings, some real pissed off family members here, and I think what stands out to me, Jeff, and I'd like to get your thoughts on this is when I listen to this, I'm hearing something that speaks to like kind of a weird. It makes me wonder if there's like a weird materialism in the family. Now Kobe married his wife young, I believe, right? Didn't he
Yeah,
marry
he was in his early 20s. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the thing, right? I'm not. This is not to say on any level that Vanessa Bryant will be in the same category, say Larsa Pippen, right? Even though let's just be real. Women that marry NBA players, they know how much money they make. They know that they don't
Definitely.
work at
No
Burger King,
doubt.
right? They know this, right? And this matters, and it's okay. It's okay for money to matter. Money does, fellas. In case you don't know, women do pay attention to how much money you make, and there's nothing wrong with that to a point, right? But typically, and here's the other thing I noticed is that typically the woman who is really in tune with how much money a man makes, she learns that from somewhere. Who she learning from? Mama, right? Number one mentor. Where did Kim Kardashian and all the Kardashians learn how to make $100 million a year? Doing selfies on Instagram or sex tapes. Remember, Kim Kardashian got started with sex tape. They learned that from Mama Chris. Mama Chris was coaching them. She was schooling them on the game, right?
Definitely from them all.
Right. So part of me wonders when I see, Vanessa Bryant, Kobe's wife, kind of going through this conflict with her mother over money, and it's seeming so absurd. Like, wait a minute, $100, damn near $100 an hour to babysit your own grandkids. It kind of connects. It makes me wonder, like, was this kind of a mama daughter, like, are they both on that same playing field? Like, oh yeah, we about to go get this money. Get this shmoney by getting with Mr. Kobe Bryant. What do you think? Is that how absurd is my theory?
Well, it's not too crazy because if the mom is collecting alimony from 2004, that means she married somebody rich, right? Like last I checked, broke folks don't give alimony. I mean, I know if I was to get married right now and divorced, I ain't giving no alimony because I ain't got nothing to give. You know what I'm saying? So that whoever the mom, which I don't know, I wasn't able to look that up. But just when you said that, it made me think about like when you were reading that statement and making your claim, it's like, dang, I mean, that makes sense because whoever in the hell she was married to must have been someone who was quite wealthy. So like that definitely isn't by accident. Like you said, and for those who don't really remember or wasn't caught up on this, Kobe was caught up in a little incident, during the early 2000s where he got into, had sex or whatever with the hotel worker, and they settled out of court or whatever, but there was no divorce. There was no divorce, and him and his wife worked it out. And we know that happens in relationships and marriages. They can work things out, and they've been pretty spotless ever since. But that did take place, so it is something to really think about. Like that, it gets you thinking. Taking that perspective gets you thinking about a whole bunch of different other things.
Well, let me jump in and say that if you remember, and again, this is not in any way disparaging. This is really trying to sort of figure out like what might be going down here in the dynamic. Because I mean, I don't know. Give me a yes or no. It could. Do you guys think this could even happen in your own family, where your mama sues you and wants $100 an hour or even $40 an hour for babysitting her own grandkids? How does anybody else think that that's crazy? But here's the other thing that I thought about. If you remember when Kobe gave that press conference and after that whole situation happened in Colorado, which by the way was insane. I mean, it made me really sad. That was very sad that Kobe, just a few years after Magic Johnson goes down and y'all know why he went down. You got this girl, you're a married man and you're sleeping with this lady that you just met 45 minutes ago and apparently allegedly not protecting yourself. That was probably the most disappointed I ever was. I mean, just as a married man, I mean, I don't judge what people do in the bedroom. That's what you do. I do not care. But when it really affects other people, you got to think about that. Like, we got to say that. I have to say that. Right? I don't care what anybody thinks. Like, that's fucking stupid. Don't do that shit. Like, that's crazy. You got a wife. Like at least manage your shit. Like, so whatever it is you do, I'm not judging. But I will say that, like, after that, if you recall, when they did their press conference, if I'm not mistaken, I remember somebody mentioning this big old rock.
Big old ring.
She had on a do you
big
remember
old ring. Yeah,
you remember details. What was going on with that?
Well, that was, like you said, it was like a new wedding ring or whatever, and it was worth probably over $1 million, right? Like that was definitely, everybody noticed that because, like you said, they did a joint press conference. It was Kobe and it was Vanessa was right next to him, and that's not something you see very often in sports, where you see a sporting figure and his wife right next to him. If it's not like a retirement or something like that, this is after a scandal and after they had settled out of court. Kobe was in and out of court, and then they finally reached a settlement with the hotel worker out in California. I mean, out in Colorado, and then you see him with his wife doing that joint press conference with that brand new big old ring that I think that was worth probably over $1 million.
Yeah. So you got the $1 million ring, and so why is Uncle Boyce, because this ain't really Dr. Boyce yet. This is not even scientific, but this is just life, common sense. Why am I noticing that? Well, I'm observing that because you put together the puzzle pieces, and what I'm seeing is I'm seeing I'm seeing a lot of materialism, and your value systems on money and stuff like that transfers intergenerationally. That's not, like if a kid it grows up and they're really thinking about money on a heavy level, good or bad, they got that from somebody. Typically, they got it from. So I can just sort of see it like, okay, we're marrying into the family of this, because a lot of people don't see marriage just all about love and who looks good and trust, big button, smile, and all that. A lot of people think of marriage as a power play. Like marriage is a money move. Like, if you marry a Kardashians ain't marrying guys that work at the post office. They're marrying multimillionaire rappers who have a lot of clout and a lot of fame, who can increase your social media following. So just be clear, like there are people that marry as a business move. And it makes me wonder if the whole marriage was kind of built partly, at least partly, not completely, but partly on saying, look, this is, we're building this empire thing, and we're this guy's going to make a lot of money, and we want to be a part of that family, which also may have played a part in why she was able to move past that whole chaos back in Colorado. I know
Boyce, they're saying in the comments the ring was $4 million. It was a $4 million ring. That's just to give you that context.
Okay, well, excuse me.
Like that's just to give you some more context, to give you, like you said. I mean, it not to encourage cheating on your wife or whatever, but it does make getting past that incident in Colorado a lot easier when you have a $4 million ring during this joint press conference. That is definitely something to think about. It's not an argument.
Yeah, the $4 million gift kind of smooths things over, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's funny how those things work out. Well, I wish them the best, and I hate it. And I would just tell anybody out here, my 2 cents on it is make sure that you, as you go out on your paper chase and you go make money. We talk about money a lot on this platform. We always will. As you go get that money, make sure you find a way to understand what's really valuable. Family is more valuable than money. And if you get to the point where relatives are suing each other, it's just not worth it. And the other thing too is setting expectations. I think that if you're doing things for other people, I know you want to be really generous and things like that. The biggest thing you're probably going to have to get used to is that as you get more resources, some of you who have money know this already. As you get more money, and I learned this, is that you have to be thoughtful about how you help people, who you help, because some people, it will literally hurt you more by helping them. Like it will literally be better to say, no, I'm not doing anything, than to do things for them. Because once you start helping someone, they become addicted to the money. They become accustomed to it. They become entitled to it. And so if you're helping them, you're being really generous, you're giving them 10 grand a year or whatever. Well, and then you cut that down and you say, well, I can only give you 3 grand because I'm having financial problems. Next thing you know, you getting cussed out, you getting screamed at. They talk about you like a dog, and they're trying to go get a piece of yours. And also the other thing too, and Jeff, feel free to throw in a comment on this. I'll bring you back on screen after I make this comment. Is that for men who get a little bit of money, you want to go date around and mess around with different women and all that stuff. You got to be thoughtful about the types of women you let into your life. And the same thing is true for ladies too. It's not gender specific all the time, but a man who gets a little bit of money becomes more attractive to women. So when women come around, you think you can just hit it and quit it and just do whatever you want to do. Well, for some, you might run into that one woman who sees you as her lifetime meal ticket. Like, this is my chance to get out of the ghetto forever, and she ain't got nothing to lose. So next thing you know, I've seen guys get, false rape accusations out of that, where somebody is just going around saying, like, I'm going to tell people you raped me, and you can't prove that they didn't, or that you didn't do it, and you got to pay me. If you don't pay me, then I'm going to tell everybody you did this to me. So you got to. So my advice to guys is, if you have something to lose, you want to pick women that also have something to lose, so that you have mutually assured destruction, where you can both agree, like, look, you don't mess with what I got, I ain't gonna mess with what you got. Yeah. So that's a strategy that I think has to be considered. It can't just be about a big button, a smile. It can't just be about, oh, I love or attraction. It's got to be deeper on a strategic level, so you can protect what you have. Jeff, any thoughts on that?
No, definitely, because I mean, to be honest, Kobe Bryant got lucky with Vanessa, right? Like Vanessa Bryant, he definitely got lucky because Vanessa Bryant, because it could have easily been Larsa Pippen, right? Like Vanessa Bryant, when they got together, she wasn't nobody. I mean, let's just be honest. Like she is Vanessa Bryant because we never knew who she was before she got with Kobe Bryant. And that matters. Like that definitely matters, especially when you were somebody with Kobe status. Kobe wasn't, just like you said, a guy who came to the NBA that was, just luckily got good. Kobe came out of high school, all right? He was a first round pick. He played for the Los Angeles Lakers, the biggest brand in basketball. So none of this, like you said, he was not a stranger when he met Vanessa Bryant. Now, although they were both young, but at the same time, he had everything to lose, and she could have easily been a Larsa Pippen type thing, and you could have been in a situation where Scottie Pippen and the senior wife doing all this kind of crazy stuff that we see Larsa Pippen in, and Scottie Pippen's kind of stuck in that mess, right? So, like you said, it is definitely important to know who you're dealing with and choose wisely. And, therefore you can try to avoid. It's not always possible, but try your hardest to avoid situations where you got family members, grandmas suing the mamas for $5 million because daddy's dead not to settle everything. And that's just kind of insane.
Well, Jeff, let me ask you this question. Remember when your boy LaVar Ball, how many of y'all give me a yes or no if y'all saw that, where LaVar Ball said he was telling his 3 sons who are now in the NBA, 3 sons in the NBA, by the way, that's pretty impressive. He was telling them that you can't meet a quality woman if you're an NBA athlete, if you're making that kind of money, if you got that kind of fame. I didn't agree with that. I think that there are quality women everywhere, but I do think that your likelihood of meeting somebody who just loves you because of you, who ain't really thinking as much money, I think that likelihood does drop. What are your thoughts on what LaVar Ball said?
Well, I mean, he had some good points in there, but like you said, I don't know if that's necessarily all the way true, but I understood what he was saying, because what his whole point was saying, like, someone like me, he was talking about himself, he met their mom while he was attending college. Well, his boys didn't go to college. They didn't go to college very long, right? Like, one went for like a week, the other went for 6 months and played basketball, and then the other one never went. Hell, the third one didn't even go to high school. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that is where most men meet their women. They meet their women in college or at church. He said, we don't go to church. They meet them in college and church, and you on the road 250 days out of a 365 days a year. You know what I'm saying? So, like, it's going to be hard to meet a woman who really is going to want you for you and not want you because you're a millionaire, because you're athletic, 6'8" or whatever, because you can play basketball really well. Like, it's going to be hard to know that this woman technically really wants you because she actually cares about you and wants to build something with you when you are on the road half the year and you are a famous basketball player. So, I mean, I kind of understood what he was saying.
I got a question for you, Jeff. What I know you have a girl. If you don't mind me asking, where did you meet your girl?
In college. I met her in college in school. So, like, that's why I said I could understand. Like, I met her while we were attending WKU.
Okay. And I can say this, I'm marrying a beautiful woman who's a college professor, and I'm a professor too. And we met in the library. Right. And that
LaVar also said my sons don't go to the library. Because that's what he brought up. He said, yeah, like, my sons don't go to their basketball players, don't go to the library. That's where you keep your women at. He did say that. It's actually kind of funny.
Man, yeah. We met in the library, and we were both there to study. And I think that's not a coincidence, right? I wouldn't go if you were the woman of my dreams or my future wife to be, and you were in the club that night, I was not going to meet you because I wasn't going to the club, right? Mm-hmm. Like, so I really think that, like, people should think carefully about where you meet people, because that says a lot about what you're going to get. Like, if you meet in an area that involves something that you both love, right, then that's going to shape part of your relationship. So if you meet in the club and you're the person who goes to the club once a year and they go to the club every Friday, then that's going to be a problem right there, because you're going to want to stop going to the club. They're going to want to keep going to the club. Or even online dating, right? I've seen people where they'll meet somebody online and they're just online to pick, like, grocery shop. They're there to pick up a partner and bounce. The other person lives online. Like, they like the easy access to lots of people. So you got to think about all that, right?
Yeah, no, you definitely do. All of that matters. Like I said, it kind of goes back to some of the stuff we were saying in our panel, just about, what are you looking for in your mate, and how do you define, picking someone to marry and picking someone. Are you basing your marriage off love, or are you basing your marriage off a power play or, generational success. And that all of that goes into it. And what LaVar was saying is, if you're going for the generational success, because the love, you're not really going to ever really know if she's loving you, if she loves you for who you are, or, for your status. So you kind of got to go for the generational success. And it's kind of hard to do that when you're in the NBA, is basically what he was saying.
Well, when somebody loves you for your status, that your status is, I believe it's a reflection of you. So it's like if I say I love somebody, I love Alicia because of her personality, right? She's such a funny person. Well, that could change, right? God forbid something happened to her brain, or she got, I don't know, whatever, on a weird medication or something. But it's like that's a part of who she is, right? Yeah. And it's and so I think that I think those things are connected, right? So somebody likes you because you have status and money. Your status and money is a reflection of typically of something deeper. It's a reflection of how hard you work, how smart you are, how you can solve problems, you're capable. So I don't think that ladies should feel bad for being attracted to men that have money. No differently from the way men shouldn't feel bad for being attracted to a woman with long, pretty hair or a big booty or whatever it is that guys like. I think it's a matter though of also you should understand what you like about that person and what they like about you, so that you don't get it twisted.
Yeah.
Right? Like I don't know if you ever seen Forrest Whitaker's wife?
No, I have not.
Yeah, Forrest Whitaker he's a really funny looking dude, because I think he's like one ear is bigger than the other, and he's got the lazy eye and all that. And then you see Forrest Whitaker's wife, or even Tracy Morgan. I'm sorry, forgive me for being honest like this. It's the middle of the night, so fuck it, I'm gonna be tough. Like that those women would not be with those men if they were just like working at White Castle. Like
$30,000 a year, they wouldn't be with them, boy.
Right. I don't know what you make working at White Castle, but they would. That's not it wouldn't be happening. And so you know what it is, right? Now, if you know what it is, that's okay, as long as you know what it is and you don't think it's something that it's not, because we're encouraged to lie to each other. Like you're not allowed to admit that that's what it is. Like a woman can't really say like, well, if you didn't have that $100 million contract, I would probably be dating your teammate. Right? like she can't say that, but it's smart for a man to know that. Like, where I feel sorry for people is when they really think like, oh, she would love me if I was broke just as much as she loves me that I make $5 million a month. No, she wouldn't. It ain't the same. So anyway, enough of all that. But Jeff, what are your final thoughts on this with the Kobe Bryant thing and just what we can kind of take away from this? Any parting thoughts?
Just like I said, I really think it plays a part in how important our black men are for our families, right? Like we talk about this a lot. We talk about the family structure and what the men, or the removal of our black men from our families. It doesn't matter if you were 15 cents or $15 million. Like taking away a black man in the structure matters. Like it definitely matters. And boys, I know you'll agree with me on this, because like we're literally watching it play. If you hadn't had enough of a picture of the last 400 years of America, a black man in America, you just thought it was like people like Boyce or myself or whoever were just delusional and going crazy and feeding you BS, saying that like removing our men or emasculating our men matters. You are sitting here watching a family that's worth hundreds of millions of dollars go through the exact same thing that black people have been going through for forever. So those are my final thoughts, is just how important the black men to the family actually means.
All right. So what I'll do is I have to pull Jeff off screen because I can't figure out how to get us both on the screen. So by the way, so this is Jeff Lightsy Jr. from the BlackBossChannel.com. Make sure you subscribe. This is where black men talk. We talk about whatever the hell we want to talk about. We don't apologize for any of that. So if you want to hear what black men have to say, go to subscribe to the BlackBossChannel.com. We're building black media. Hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when we go live. Also, just as a reminder, if you're interested in real estate, this weekend, the Black Business School starting Saturday morning at 9 a.m. We're having the Black Real Estate Weekend, where we're bringing real estate experts in that can talk to you about every single thing involving real estate, from buying your first house to multifamily property to commercial property to tax lien investing, all this stuff. And the best part is that we decided to go ahead and make it free. So it had a $299 value, but we're making it absolutely free. So if you go to blackrealestateweekend.com, you can actually join and go. So don't worry about those expensive programs on how to do this, how to do that. Just go ahead and come in for free. You're going to love it. It's going to be really good. You're going to have a great time. And also, I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but blagenough.com is our social media platform. I don't get to mention it much, but this is how you spell it. And basically, it's a play off the word black enough. It's a word we invented. So if you're black enough that you feel that black people matter the most, that you want to have black conversations, you want to have freedom of speech, you want to build a black community, then join us at blackenough.com. You can actually find people in your neighborhood, in your community that you can congregate with, form an investment club with, hang out with, whatever the case may be. So feel free to go to blackenough.com and check it out. All right, guys. So thank you guys very much for hanging out with us. And I wish you the very best. And if you want to know why we talk about relationships, it's because relationships matter more than money. That you can't have money without relationships. Relationships are a critical part of what drives economics. Family and money go hand in hand. So be careful about who you choose to bring into your life. That's extremely important. So we're out of here, guys. Have a good night, and we will see you soon. Be good.